In the previous episodes, we explored the challenges of Arabic literacy and citizenship education and the number of solutions to these challenges. But how do we know what constitutes an actual challenge and what a good solution for it might be? Join us as we explore the state of education research in Arabic-speaking countries and its importance in answering those questions.
Welcome to this podcast interview entitled Inside the Arab Classroom. My name is Mikey Mhenna. This series is a collaboration with New York University's Global Ties for Children and Afikra. Global Ties for Children is an international research center based in New York University, focused on supporting education and child development research in low and middle income and crisis affected contexts. Today's conversation is with Dr. Adnan el Amine, who graduated from the Lebanese University in 1971 and obtained his doctorate in sociology of education from Sorbonne University in Paris in 1977. He was a full professor at the Lebanese University until 2008 and has spent decades working in and around education in the Arab world. And it is an honor to have you on the series. Welcome, Adnan.
Thank you.
So today's conversation is all about research, education research. So I just wanted to ask you, what is the state of education research across the Arabic-speaking world, if you were to describe it as simply as possible?
Not simple at all. You have the research product and you have the research process, because research process is taking place within universities, research centers, and within also some think tanks, organization, international organization, and other countries. So, and we have the product itself. If we look at the product like in terms of books, articles, papers, and conferences, so which one do we want to talk about? Because we have two, and the one may explain the other. I mean, if we look first at the outcome, then we can go back to the process, which may explain better the situation.
Maybe let's start in that order. That sounds good. Let's start with the outcome and then go back to the process.
Thank you. Yeah, if we want to talk about the outcome, we have, as I said, like articles and books and the conference proceedings. I did myself a wide research on the status of education research in the Arab countries through different sources. And the main results, when we define what is the function of the goal of the research. So we can say in the scientific community, the research goal of them is revealing some unknown aspects of the fact under consideration. So if we know already the facts, so there is no research. There is no need for research. Research starts from the question, because we don't understand what's going on. So we ask the question, then we try to do the research, answer that question. And assuming it's starting from this point of view, sometimes the researchers, they know the answer already. So they publish something just to say that we are there and we know the answers. So they start from the answers and then they develop text, like a narrative text, repeating again the answer, documented with some sources here and some sources from competence studies, etc. This is one of the facts that can be observed in this corpus of education research. Now, I can say that there are two main things that dominated the Arab research compared to this position idea, which is revealing the unknown aspect. One plan, I call it anti-empiricism.
Say that again? Anti-empiricism.
So the idea of it means is that some researchers do calculation and experimentation and etc., and they think that if we measure 1 + 1 + 1 equals that, etc., so you have a knowledge. In my work in Arab countries, I use the term empty because at the end of the research, I mean, if you read an article or a thesis, you have no idea in your head, in your mind, what was the idea. So they do. Let me describe it by give you an example. Okay. Assume that there is a thesis or article. Title is the impact of the method X, teaching method X, on acquisition of physics in the 5th elementary grade. So you have the impact of something, A, method, B, acquisition of students, C, 5th grade, 4 elements. This is, I can call it assume it's like a board, a pattern. I can replace A by another method. And the B, not physics, but let's say mathematics. And C, let's say not 5th grade, etc. And you can add the country. So if you calculate how many thesis uses the article can you produce, if you consider that you have 4 elements or 4 components of the title, and each element we can have from 1 to 9 probabilities. So 4 power 4, let's say, you only have maybe 1,000. If 4 power 5, 10,000. If you have 4 or 5 of without the 5th, etc., you will have maybe 10 million probability to produce this research. And you have that countries.
Okay.
I can say that there are many research publications that have listed their title, like an exercise at the end of the course. The impact of something on something. At the end of the article, they say, there is a significant difference between those who have been taught in that way compared to the other thing. So and usually they do this with their students, or they use it in a small class or a simple class. There is no really any knowledge of this. It's like an exercise. So if they consider the exercise is the research. If you are teaching mathematics, you can give your students some exercises. Okay, they apply. So they consider this kind of like research, and you find them in the titles.
Adnan, let me ask you a question. Let me contextualize this for a little bit. When I talk about education research in Arabic-speaking countries, what are the broadest themes that people are actually researching? What are the main problems that people are investigating in this space? And imagine you're speaking to a dinner party of people who don't work in education and don't work in research. What does this entire sector of academia care about? What are they interested in?
Every topic. There is no main topic. So you can go from Give me some examples. Elementary education to higher education. They'll go from teaching mathematics to teaching Arabic. They'll go from education administration to etc. etc. So all topics are under consideration, but the researchers they avoid in this kind of abstracted open system. They avoid the questions that are critical on that would make some problem or challenging them in the social situation. So if there is, let's say, they usually lean to deal with psychological approach, pedagogical approach, but not to sociological approach, not to philosophical approach, not to economical approach. So they need to choose any topic, teaching in the classroom or education administration or any topic of that, but a topic that doesn't make any problem in the society and political order and because they're
Can you give me an example? I'm having a hard time imagining this actually in practice. So can you give me one specific example of what this would look like?
Yeah.
The different approaches?
If you take, let's say, curriculum, this is one of the topics that are, so usually.
So like a physics curriculum, 9th grade physics curriculum for teenagers,
yes.
For example.
So this is one of the topics. Or like Arab language, Arabic. Okay,
let's use Arabic language. So the curriculum for Arabic language for high schools.
How to teach Arabic. The research is made or elaborated on the topic, how to teach Arabic. But there is no topic or research, it's rare to say, what are we teaching? Why are we teaching this? What's the image of the power in the Arab textbooks? Social interference between the curriculum and the social struggle or social problems or anything. So they avoid this issue of about power, about religion, about political parties, about even social pressures. So they need to something, let's say, technical.
What interventions can be done or what policy prescriptions can be put in place to improve the amount of research and the quality of research that is being done from your perspective? What needs to take place to improve the quality of research across
this
the
is the most difficult question now, this one. Because, this state of research, as I like to describe, is a result of a context. So the research is produced within universities, let's say, public universities. Researchers are there, most of them. So if you don't have any opportunity or any chance really to change the system of governance at the university, there is no really small, very little opportunities to make a progress in the research, because professors who are researchers are internalizing the constraints that are surrounding them. So that's why they avoid. So you can usually they say that the problem of research is due to resources, financial resources, or due to plans, or due to labs, or due all these reasons are right. I don't deny them, but the main problem is that in the research behavior of researchers. Their behavior, and this behavior is due to a context, organization, environment, context within the universities and within the research centers. You have research centers at many other universities, or sometimes within the ministries of education. They do have research centers. So you need to really, in these universities or these centers, which are really marginalized. Some of the universities are marginalized in their scope of action and their decision making, and their and even in in every journal or periodical there is like a editorial board, and there are referees, etc. So maybe you have to stand there. This is the best, I think.
What are some of the main challenges and opportunities for schooling broadly? I mean, if you were to look at the next 20 years, what do you think people should be focusing on right now? The people in the international development community, the people in education departments across universities, the people who are training teachers, the people who are running schools. What are the main challenges and opportunities to improve education across the Arabic speaking world?
Yeah, this is also and this is the question of the day today after the ChatGPT and all issues are on the table now. Now we have because of political structure, we have this in the schools. There is like a pattern of behavior from the governance, from the ministry to schools, from school to administrators, etc., to teachers, to etc., based on diction and certainty. Because when there is somebody who is in power, he is what he says and what he disseminates is this is the rate. So there should be like a coup d'etat in teaching, reversing the orbits, reversing the relationship between students should be with the technology now. They have to be just they have to deal with questions, and they will and they have to look for the answer themselves. I mean, through media, through internet, etc., to discuss, etc., and then when they come within the classroom, they debate. This is like the life now. School should really be similar to the real life, where you and me we look for everything in the now with the artificial intelligence. So the other day I had a conference, lecture, and so I looked for the answer within ChatGPT, and I told them ChatGPT told me that this is not mine. It's correct answer. So I want to add to this, not to repeat, because it's known already. Every one of you would have this answer from the ChatGPT. But if you ask ChatGPT also about something international, the correctness of the answer could be high. But if you ask the system about something in Lebanon, the correctness is really could be very low. So it depends on if it's a universal knowledge or local knowledge, specific knowledge or general knowledge. So so students are able now, even in 3 years old or like us, to look for knowledge, to have position, etc. And the teachers are ready to facilitate, to have to change the whole model of imposing a curriculum and فتش the supervisor in order to control what's going on in the school. If you have to really to make this transfer, this move from the actual situation now to another situation, which is really toward the future.
Do we have the mechanisms in place right now to measure and to track those improvements across for student outcomes?
No, we don't have any. Usually, we are talking, we are dreaming, we are expecting. But if you look at every Ministry of Education in other countries, maybe in some Gulf states, maybe they are more open to new ways of teaching, maybe. But if you talk about big countries like Egypt or Saudi Arabia or even Algeria or Morocco, if you take them country by country and you ask yourself, to what extent this country has a in terms of politics, in terms of policy, is conservative or not, or it is open to the new way of thinking or open way to other values. So there is a big resistance to any new idea because they may think that it's challenging them, maybe threatening them, threatening the system, etc. So we don't have a mechanism. We just, I mean, myself, I can write, I can talk, I can say, I can make a lecture about this, but really, if you ask me about my experience with the Ministry of Education in Lebanon, I'm not talking about Egypt, I'm talking about Lebanon here. So my experience with the Ministry of Education is very, very bad. From the beginning, when we were working, they were working about curriculum, and now they are doing a new curriculum. In both cases, I didn't join them. I started join them, then I left because they want to be on the rule of what is acceptable, not acceptable. Political parties are represented in the committees. Political parties all are represented. So they say, no, this is not acceptable because they call the political party and say, no, we don't accept this. So we erase this ideas. So the systems are very strong, and they don't, unless something happens in society and political orders, they are really defending the system. Now, there is only one option sometimes when there are some private schools starting from their own ideas with the support of the parents, some organization, maybe they are doing something else. Even when adopting the national curriculum, they can add something in the schools, in the practice. They can recruit teachers with the new idea. Can have some logistics to this. And we have around the world some experimental schools, some even in other countries. But the public system is very good.
Okay, I want to switch to our quick Q&A for a second. But before I do, I have just a very simple question for you. Do you think education in the Arabic-speaking world is better today than it was when you were a school child, when you were a student?
Wow, it's a difficult question. I don't know, but I don't know because it depends on how to speak. If you compare from the situation from the quantitative side, it is now much better. I mean, it's much better. I mean, because the enrollment rate in the Arab countries, it was in the 50s or 60s, like 40%, now 60%, etc. There is an improvement in all level of enrollment at the elementary level, secondary level, university level. And this is a great progress in education. Now, about the quality, how can you measure quality now to other? If you compare quality now to in Arab countries to quality around the world, the Arab countries are, if you categorize them, classify them, into three categories: above the average, below the average, according to TIMSS other international tests. Arab countries are above the average. I mean, all of them together on the average, and some of them are on the bottom of the list in mark or assessment. So Arab countries, international comparison, they are not good. No, in education. I mean, in terms of just achievement, something like that. But compared to the past, it's really difficult to say because we don't have really a good measurement. Some old men say, in our time is a lot better than science. No. I cannot accept this. Yeah. So each generation has its own problem and its own achievement and its own failure. It's different.
Okay, let's do the quick Q&A and then we're going to wrap up. What are you reading or watching these days?
I read about all things about Arab Spring. So I'm still interested in Arab Spring, although we have some disappointment about what happened after that. But I think that what happened is historical in the meaning that there should have impact on the future. Forget about what we see now. I think it's a new phenomenon in the Arab country and will have some repercussion on the future.
All right. Who would you love to spend a day with? Who would you love to shadow for a day? Anyone in the history of the world?
Thomas Kuhn.
Why?
I don't know when I read this book, I mean, I don't know how many, 10 years or more, I still, and every time I talk about or think about research and knowledge, because this is my issue. So I refer to his book, to his concept, to his analysis. So I want to ask him more about, if he is still alive, about because he applied this theory on what's called natural sciences, not on social sciences. So I'm interested to meet him if possible.
Cool. What do you think that people most misunderstand about your work?
They consider my work as provocative. That's it. But they don't want to really, I mean, like in Lebanon or other countries. So if I make a lecture, let's say, or presentation, UNESCO, let's say, so they will not invite me again because I'm talking about their own behavior in terms of research. I'm not talking about persons. So usually I have this feedback from other connection that I'm very provocative. They don't support my way of talking because I say the things as I think, right, in their face.
Outside of your profession, whose work do you admire?
I like novels. Novels, really, the novels are from my side, for the other countries at least, are much better than all social sciences in other countries. Novels. Because in the novels, you may have good idea about Arab society than if you read sociological work. Because of the avoidance. So you read books from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, etc. So there are a lot of real picture of the site. Recently from Yemen, from Libya, there are very, very good books in novels. I mean, good novels, rather than compared to social sciences, which are assumed to really reveal the facts, the aspect, the unknown fact, aspect of the fact. So, but the novels are very, very interesting.
Very interesting. Well, if anyone's interested in connecting with you, it's easy to find you online. Adnan el Amine, you can look up his many, many, many publications online. Adnan, thank you so much for being a part of the series. As I mentioned, this series is all about exploring the Arab classroom, and it is a collaboration with New York University's Global Ties for Children and Afikra. Thank you so much for listening, and Adnan, thanks for being a part of it.
Okay, thank you again. Bye-bye.